Do you have one of those lessons that your body, the universe, God keeps trying to teach you? Well, for me, that lesson is how to take good care of myself in the face of stress and burnout so I can be more resilient and maybe even thrive. Now, for me, this story takes place when I was in grad school studying nutrition. And even though nutrition consistently ranks at the top of the list for least stressful jobs, I'll tell you right now, that has never been my experience, and it certainly wasn't when I was in grad school. Because at that time, only 50% of applicants to get into the dietetic internship after you graduate got in. And so it was very competitive in order to earn the alphabet soup that I was after at the end of my name. And so I looked around to figure out how I could get into this coveted internship. And the answer was compete. Compete at all costs and win. And I looked at my fellow students and I saw what they were doing and I knew a few places I couldn't compete on. And one was in just general coolness because these gals I went to school with walked down the hallway like Norse goddesses with their blonde hair flowing behind them, and they seemed to create their own wind like a Hollywood high school movie. I've never been able to manage this. I also knew that even though I was in grad school to study nutrition, there was no way that I could compete on nutritional intake because these gals, and this is a true story, would sit in class and eat raw kale and sardine salads out of huge metal mixing bowls, munching and smelling up the whole place. And I don't want to yuck anybody's yum, but yuck. So those weren't the places I could compete. Where I could compete was with my brain. So I got stuck in looking for those good grades. And unfortunately, I went after those grades to the exclusion of basically everything else. I stopped taking care of myself. I stopped going for walks and moving my body. I actually stopped eating well and ended up in the cafeteria looking for cupcakes and guacamole on more times than I'd like to admit. And of course, sleep suffered. You get the picture. Maybe you've been there. And after a while, this took a toll. There were some red flags. I started to have insomnia. I started to get anxious. And those sugar cravings only seemed to escalate and compound. My body was desperately trying to get my attention, but I ignored it because I needed these grades to get into this internship. And so I ignored it until one night I couldn't ignore it anymore. My sweet corporeal form got my attention. It was probably the second year in grad school, January, a blustery winter night as winter nights go, and I was awoken at 2 a.m. And maybe when you wake up, you do some sort of, you're lying down and you slowly come up and you yawn and you stretch. That wasn't my experience this time. This time, I woke up and instead of laying down, I was standing in the middle of my bedroom when I came to. And instead of a soft yawn, something cute, sound like a kitty, I was screaming. Ah! I'm standing and I'm screaming, and instead of a nice, calm heart, my heart is beating, and I feel like I'm being chased by an axe murderer. Maybe you've been there. As you might imagine, this woke my husband up too. But he was able to fall back asleep. For me, because I ignored those red flags, the anxiety, the sugar cravings, the body aches, the fatigue, I was pushed from fatigue to panic, exhaustion. And it took me a long time to recover, if I'm being honest. I wish I could go back and take care of myself when those red flags first appeared. And today, I encourage all of you, don't learn for yourself, learn from me. Take care of yourself before it's too late. Thank you very much.